Good evening. Happy weekend to you all. Yes, I'm back. I've been gone for a minute. I've been tired, been working a lot, but I'm just going to be here just giving to you straight. If you miss it, catch the live on the feed. If not, you can see on my YouTube and see some clips on Twitter and TikTok. So here we are. So in terms of the COVID cases here in the country, cumulative cases are at 775,293,630. That's where the COVID-19 cases are for the world. For the world, 775,293,630. And that's according to the World Health Organization. In terms of the death toll, cumulative is 7,044,636, and it was updated as of April 7th. Now, in terms of the United States of America, cumulative cases as of April 2024, which is April 7th, of 2024 is 103,436,829. Now, in terms of the death toll here is at 1,184,883. This is where we are with COVID. Now, in terms of vaccinations in the USA, as of November 2023, the country is vaccinated by 70%. As for the Americans that already got the booster, is at 36% as of November 2023. And we are like under 50 in terms of the number of people being vaccinated. We're like ranked like in the 50s somewhere. That's not good, especially if we're the country that has the vaccine most ready and available to us. That's nuts. So COVID is still here. I don't know how we're going to be in the clear, but the vaccination is going to be probably be part of immunizations going forward, maybe for schools, maybe for jobs, who knows. But please take this seriously because people are still dying from this. Believe it or not, people are still dying from this, and people are still suffering from illnesses behind this. Just saying. Now, just going to run through this thing with the House of Representatives. Lord have mercy. They're in shambles. They're a hot-ass mess. But they're still in session because they have a major vote tomorrow on aid packages. And I just want to be specific with the aid packages alone. So according to ABC News, Speaker James Michael Johnson, also known as Mike Johnson, hawks $95 billion to Israel Ukraine aid package, and while he is being threatened for his speakership. Wagwan Queen. So Speaker James Michael Johnson and other House Republican leaders released a $95 billion foreign aid package that provides funding for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan as Congress continues to grapple with a response taking action by Russia, Iran, and China that have defied the international community, which we're not surprised. The package includes $26.4 billion for Israel aid, including $4 billion to replenish Israel Iron Drone defense system, $60.8 billion for Ukraine aid, including $23 billion for replenishing weapons, and $1 billion for Indo-Pacific aid. I don't know if that includes Palestinian aid. I digress. Johnson, who is facing a small revolt within his own conference and will need to rely on Democratic votes to advance the package, told members to expect a final message vote on the package tomorrow evening. But the path to getting there will be an uphill battle and continue to be cost of speakership for the gavel. Chip Roy of Texas said the Republican Speaker of the House is seeking a rule to pass almost $100 billion in foreign aid, while unquestionably dangerous criminals, terrorists, and fentanyl pour across our border. The border vote is the package is watered down, dangerously covered vote. I will oppose. So here's the thing. I have a lot to say. I'm surprised the Palestinian aid is not there, which the president wanted in the bill, along with the funding to Israel and to Ukraine. He wanted also to the Gaza Strip. But remember, we're dealing with a Republican House. So I hope the progressives understand that you should protest those people and not protest the president. That's one. Another thing is, James Michael Johnson is probably one of the most weakest speakers next to Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan to not have a spine. This is what happens when you cave to knuckleheads like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Chip Roy, Paul Gosar, all these other knuckleheads in their party. Now you know that the speaker job is not an easy job. It's a job with negotiations, dealing with people, which James Michael Johnson doesn't have any experience with that. Everybody talk crap about Nancy, Patricia, D'Alessandro Pelosi, but guess what? She had experience dealing with people across both aisles. That's called something of, leadership. But I digress, as my good friend Shauna always say. Back to James Michael Johnson and the knuckleheads in his party. This shows the American people that Republicans were never able to govern. It took how many elections over the last 50 years to realize most of them cannot govern. They can't not govern alone. Not at all. Because with a Republican conference in both chambers of Congress, can't get things done. And 2023 was the worst year of passing legislation. And they're carrying into 2024. Are we surprised? No. These are the same people, some of them, that are also insurrectionists. They're trying to forget about January 6th. This is who we're dealing with in the Republican Party. The Republican Party does not want to help the American people get a leg up in this country. And no, folks, I'm not talking about social programs. I'm just talking about in general. They don't want to see this country have a leg up in technology and education and job growth. They don't want this country to have a leg up. And it shows. They don't even want this country to combat the very same threats that's threatening our national security. They also don't want to help bridge the peace in the Middle East. So to the progressives, once again, if you're going to protest people, you should protest James Michael Johnson, Marjorie Taylor, Lauren Opa Boebert, and the rest of them. The rest of the Republican Party that are anti the Muslim community. Including the one in Congress, who is the lone Palestinian, needs to protest them and needs to get up in James Michael Johnson's face. Instead of sucking it to the Democratic Party. This is what I'm seeing. People may disagree with what I'm saying, but it's no disrespect to what her people have suffered through. But the way of going about it and protesting people in your party and not the knuckleheads in the other side of the aisle that wants to wipe the people out in your home country, and no, excuse me, where your people at, your family members at in their country, because it's not your home country, it's where your family members are, you need to take it to them. And as for the white people standing in solidarity with the Palestinians, the leftists, I suggest that you don't, because you're ruining their movement. That's all I'm saying. But this segues into 2024, because I was going to talk about the bum's legal issues, but we all know he got legal problems. Why I don't want to talk about him too much? Because he's being talked about a lot. And the case is happening in my city, in my county, and my DA, which is Alvin Bragg, has it on lock, along with my AG, who is trying to basically yank all his buildings. So he got a lot of shit going on. And I'm not going to give him no airtime, because we know that if we get this man airtime, he's just going to just take it and run with it. But I do want to talk about the president, because they have the president really walking on eggshells. Is crazy, right? So besides what happened last night, what Israel did in Iran, it's just causing more issues for the president. It literally is. I'm fixing this part of my hair. It's causing more issues for President Biden. It is literally causing more issues. What I'm flabbergasted by, and what I'm disgusted by, is the so-called progressives who are slandering this president. Is he perfect? No. Do I agree with everything he does? No. Do I really want him to break away from Netanyahu? Absolutely. Netanyahu is the worst. He's the worst for the Israeli people. At the same time with President Biden, this man is literally trying to bring peace to the Middle East, trying to stop all of this nonsense. But of course, you can't tell people what to do in their home country. And unfortunately, Netanyahu is just going to be a total dick. And that's just what it is. It's sad, but it's true. But this is going to linger into the 2024 elections, which I already said that from before. I already knew it. It was bound to happen. It's sad to say. This is why we got to vote, because what is communicating on the other side of the aisle, the Grand Insurrectionist Party, the Republican Party, aka, is basically saying that we don't care about the Palestinian people, because that's what they're saying. So while progressives are out there protesting, slandering the president's name, slandering the administration's efforts in trying to resolve this conflict in the Middle East, because this is a very complex issue to solve, which is dividing Americans, which is sad, when Americans should be on the side of humanity and should be against the two dictators trying to wage wedge and make this shit crazy. You know, Republicans really want to wipe them out. So I'm saying all of this, and I almost lost my train of thought going in a long tangent. While progressives are out there protesting the president, slandering the administration efforts to bring peace in the Middle East, on the other side of the aisle, you have the Republican Party, aka the Grand Insurrectionist Party, saying wipe them out. Even though they've been there longer, wipe them out. They're equating Hamas to Palestinians, which that is not the case. Hamas is not Palestine. So to those progressives out there protesting the president, saying we should go third party, you should think about your choices, because the people on the other side of the aisle want to do way worse. than what they did from 2017 to 2021. Not only invoke a Muslim ban, a permanent Muslim ban, a ban of Arab Americans in this country, even though Arab American countries, most of them were born here. They want to roll back protections of people that look like me, women, LGBTQ+, to basically take this country back before 1964. This is what they want to do. Modern day slavery, modern day Jim Crow. So people need to let that sink in. But we do need to talk about, besides the president's accomplishments. The president accomplished a lot of stuff. The president, first and foremost, the most important, he got us out of a raging pandemic. He got us into the clear zone. Even though there's cases still rising, he got us to a place where it's not a threat. Because 4 years ago, it was a threat. There was no national plan in year 1. Year 2, when President Biden came in, there was a national plan. He restored back the pandemic response team within the National Security Council. He gave Americans relief during that time. Not just only a one-time stimulus check, but those who were on unemployment extended the unemployment for a couple months, 6 months, and it was an extra $300. Because there are some states that their maximum unemployment wages is less than $300 a week. So that extra $300 was a leg up for those who live in those states where where not just only the minimum wage was not high, but the unemployment weekly rate is low. Okay? Let's see what else he did. He put in the Infrastructure Jobs Act. Those who needed jobs got jobs doing these infrastructure projects, including broadening the broadband and also building roads and fixing bridges. Addressing the baby formula shortage, because we had shortage on products that's happening. Sign an Inflation Reduction Act, because I went into Target. There was some things that was knocked down. The prices was knocked down on some stuff because the prices were at one point was high, and you could see the prices lowering down on certain foods and products and etc. Canceling student loan debt for many student loan borrowers on top of the SAVE plan. If you're still paying off your student loans, you're not paying a high amount. Investing more in not just only HBCUs, but public colleges. Expanding the Affordable Health Care Act. You can still keep your same doctor. I kept mine. I had the same healthcare facility for almost 15 years. Since I had my own health insurance. Since the beginning of 2010. Since 2010, I have not been uninsured. Yeah. So, if you have a reason to vote, that's one of the reasons. And when you do vote for this administration, because which is most likely going to happen, re-elect them, we get to write the tax code. Because this guy's tax code, Trump's, is going to end late next year. So if you vote Democrat down ballot, not just for the president, but down ballot, you actually have a full Democratic Congress, so we could get things done like we did the first 2 years of the president's tenure in the White House. So that should give you a reason to vote. All these things I'm saying should give you a reason to vote. Because with a Republican administration, things are going to be rolling back to the time where most Americans in this country, because most Americans are brown and mixed and black, you're going to see that a Republican administration is going to roll back stuff before Jim Crow. Let that sink in. But back to this this bum. Stephen A. Smith, y'all know who he is. Y'all watch his show. He's the sports guy from ESPN. You know, he went on a thing saying something about Trump. I just want to just play this for y'all so y'all can understand that this is why people need to go and read some books, like a great professor said to me and said it and applied to everybody else, that people just need to read some damn books. So I'm about to pull up this clip because this thing really annoyed me, because I was going to just enjoy my birthday weekend. Didn't really have too much planned, but I just need to play this for a second.
Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Let me move on to... Welcome back. On to some of you last night to discuss the upcoming election, the trial, and Trump. Some people weren't happy about what I had to say. Take a listen. But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through, he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have. And that's what he articulated. Needless to say, people...
Lot to unload. So, Stephen, just to, give it to you straight. The law actually been kind to Donald Trump for years. As a native New Yorker, born and bred, I can tell you that Donald Trump has been treated with kid gloves by the law. Unlike people that look like me. Ostracized? Treated indifferent? No. This man got away with so much stuff. The stuff that he got away with, he should have been in jail for the casino debacle back in the early 80s. The bankruptcies, stiffing people out of deals, the Trump University thing. I mean, there's needless amount of things to say. He got away with mostly everything. But the worst thing he ever did to himself was run for office and got elected. And he was open to the floodgates of everything. His whole entire life was open. It was open season, pretty much. But I want to say this to Mr. Stephen Anthony Smith, because that's your name, right? Equating what black people went through to Donald Trump is the ultimate disrespect coming from you as a brother, right? Because if you was a real brother, you wouldn't say the shit that you said out of your mouth, especially to people like Sean Hannity, who is a low-key ass racist himself. Donald Trump will never be invited to the cookout. Just because he went on the other side of Harlem, which that was staged, doesn't mean he's invited to the cookout. Because he's not. So I need folks like Stephen A. Smith, who was tap dancing for people that will continuously disrespect him and think of him as the other, need to read some books. Like my good sis always says, read some damn books. Because that's what you need. Because folks like you are the reason why that black people can't stick together. Because men like you that get $2 forget who they are. And FYI, you used to live in my building. So I know exactly who you were, and you were rude as hell. How about that one? I'm just so tired, and I don't want to say this word. I'm just tired of niggas, okay? And when I say that, that means people of low class mentality. That's what I'm saying, right? Because I also need to get at this next person, which is Leonard, right? Leonard Larry McKelvey. You know, folks are mad that the Breakfast Club is not streaming in areas like in Atlanta, Georgia, yada, yada, yada. As a New Yorker, born and bred at one, again, I have to keep saying this because there's a lot of gentrified New Yorkers that's claiming to be New Yorkers, but ain't real New Yorkers out there. As a native born and current resident of New York City, I would like to say that I reject the Breakfast Club. I never liked their show. I always think they were the fake imitation of Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, and Lisa of Hot 97 back in the 90s. Because if you were up here during that time, you listened to Hot 97 every freaking morning. Hell, even starring Buck Wild was better than the Breakfast Club. Despite their problematic issues, they were a lot better than Leonard and company. And with just hilarious in the mix, it just makes things even worse. So I'm glad the station down south cut them off. And I hope that iHeart cut them off too, because they're trash. They will never be Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, and Lisa. Not even Pete Rosenberg will be them. But he's a little bit better than them knuckleheads at Power 105.1. So, yeah. But I just want to just stretch this. I'm tired of folks like Stephen Anthony Smith, Leonard Larry McKelvey, Emmanuel Ocho, all of these black men with a lot of money who don't relate to the black experience, forgot who they are, and just saying all kinds of shit to get clicks and likes. Let me just tell y'all something. Y'all all need to sit down and read a book. Y'all all need to sit down to understand how civics works. The presidents don't fix everything. It's really up to Congress. So if you're mad, you blame Congress. Congress was always the people that make shit move. The president is just there just to sign shit and to oversee shit. We got a system called checks and balances. I think you need to understand how our government works. It's a fucking pyramid. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, I want to say this to women voters out there. And I'm talking to white women voters, majority. If it doesn't apply to you, let it fly over your head before you get into the comments and start saying like, don't demonize white women. All white women are like not like this. No, there's a majority out there. You seeing all the things that are happening within these last several years, since 2016, since the election of that bomb. There have been laws in place to roll back protections to protect you in terms of your reproductive health, you know, your children's rights, in terms of their education, in terms of being who they want to be, and even your black counterparts, including people like me. You see all these things happening in your face, and yet most of you still keep voting for Republicans. Some of you that did vote for Joe Biden, you voted for Joe Biden, but you held on to your Republican values and voted Republican down ballot. That doesn't make any sense to me. Every year since black people turned out in high numbers in 2020, they are trying to do everything. And when I mean they, the white people on the Republican side in Congress are trying to do everything to roll back protections to protect you. And they have black faces like that guy in North Carolina and like Stephen A. Smith and Byron Donalds and all them knuckleheads championing for their white supremacist policies. You see that happening. So I need y'all, white women, to wise up and realize like voting for a Democrat on the top ticket, but voting Republican down ballot is not the way to go. If you really care, about democracy and really care about preserving it and making it much better, you'll realize voting blue straight down the ballot is the way to go. I don't want to keep saying listening to black women, but you may need to listen to black women on this one. Because we're right. The Democratic Party may not be perfect. It may not be perfect. Everybody's not perfect. But the Democratic Party within my last 38 years of life was able to get things done and to get things passed and to give each and every American a leg up in this country versus the Republican Party within the last 60 years, including those 38 years I've been on this earth. So I hope that encourages you to talk to your family members and talk to your friends and, to understand that when you vote blue down ballot and have a Democratic Congress and a Democratic controlled government, you actually are able to get things done. So until then, folks, have a good night.